Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning back into the Fetch YouTube channel. Sometimes working in Revit can really feel like, well, you're working against the software rather than with it, right? Maybe things don't feel as fast or as smooth as they could be. So today, let's take a minute to customize our Revit 2025 setup. We're going to dive into all sorts of cool things like making your quick access toolbar more efficient to tweaking those settings you probably haven't touched or know about yet. And we're even going to check out some cool plugins. My goal is to help you get Revit completely dialed in for your workflow. All right, I have a new project pulled up, and the first thing I want to talk to you about is the Properties panel in your project browser. These are two of the most important tools within the Revit workspace. By default, they will usually be stacked on the left side of your screen, but you can drag them wherever you prefer. Keep them on the left side, the right, or even as floating panels on a separate monitor. So what I like to do is I'll grab the project browser and I'll move it to the side I want it to go to. And you'll see this blue box appear. That shows you where it's going to snap to. So this is my preferred setup. You can see that I have a big canvas space, but I have my project browser on the right and my properties on the left. But you can also snap it to the bottom of your screen where that blue box is, and you can snap it to the top. You can also snap it right here to the side and have them both side by side to each other. Or the last way you can do it is stack them right on top of each other. With that, you're probably wondering, where's my properties panel? No worries. Right here at the bottom, you'll see the two titles, and you can toggle between them to see whichever panel you prefer. But here's where it can get tricky. Sometimes you might accidentally close one, or it just disappears while you're moving things around. No worries. To bring them back up, you'll go to the View tab, and over to the right, User Interface, and see that my project browser isn't checked on. Once I click it, you can see that it brings it back. Or you can use the keyboard shortcut PP to make it disappear and to bring it back. It's an easy fix. Revit doesn't delete them, they just like to hide and move to different screens sometimes. Alright, next thing we're going to talk about is our quick access toolbar. By default, it lives up here above the ribbon. It's great for common commands like save, undo, and redo, but let's make it even more powerful than what it already is. Let's go ahead and click this small drop-down button, and right at the bottom, let's click Show Below the Ribbon. Why do this? When it's above, it can quickly run into the project name, forcing your tools to go into a drop-down menu. When it's below the ribbon, it has much more space to expand horizontally. This means that you can add way more of your favorite tools that are directly visible and will save you many clicks. Alright, now that the quick access toolbar is below our ribbon, let's go ahead and customize it. So anything in the Modify tab is going to be a great candidate because these are your daily drivers: align, trim, extend, move, and copy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come to the Align tool and I'm going to right click and click Add to Quick Access Toolbar. I'll do the same thing for move, same thing for copy, and same thing for trim and extend. So now you can see them right here below the ribbon. You can click this down arrow right here, and at the bottom, you can click Customize Quick Access Toolbar. So right here, you're able to move your toggles up and down. And then what's even cool is you can click this Add Separator button. So you can see right here, I have a divider between this section and the new tools that I just added. The Quick Access Toolbar is truly your customizable command center. Okay, so we know Revit is a demanding program, and its performance will rely heavily on your computer's graphic card. So it's critical to ensure that Revit is using your dedicated GPU. What we're going to do is go to File and Options, and it's going to bring us this Options browser. We're going to go to Hardware, and you're going to see the video card that you have in the driver version in the status, and you'll see these green check marks to see if your driver and all the requirements are being met in Revit. A strong GPU will mean that there will be smooth performance, faster rendering, better stability, and overall efficiency. It's worth investing in, and this setting ensures Revit is leveraging it the correct way. Alright, another tip I want to talk to you about is anti-aliasing. Have you ever noticed whenever you zoom in on Revit, there's these pixelated or harsh edges on your model? Yeah, let's go ahead and fix that. What we're going to do is go to File and Options, and under the Graphics tab, there's a section called Graphics Mode. I'm going to turn on Smooth Lines with Anti-Aliasing. Personal tip here, I always make sure that I'm applying to Use for all views. That way I don't have to enable it manually for each view. It's one of those small tweaks that helps my Revit stay clean from the start. Once I click OK, you can see that as I zoom in, those harsh edges start to smooth out the closer that I get. So no more pixelated or jagged lines. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to the General tab here under Options. What we're going to do is look at the Save Reminder interval. I typically like to have mine at 30 minutes or an hour. Revit autosaves are great, and frequent reminders prevent huge data loss. So right here, you can see that there's 15 minutes up to 4 hours. I typically like to have 30 minutes to remind me to save my project, but make sure you choose whatever works best for you when you're working in projects. Okay, so right here, I have a really overwhelming and cluttered floor plan. If you've ever opened up a view and felt the same way, your view discipline setting might be the reason. By default, Revit will show you everything, architectural, structural, and MEP elements all at once. Coordination is the default setting, but if you're an electrical engineer, you don't need to see all the extra furniture or fluff in a project. It's just noise. So the easy way to fix this in a view is going to your properties panel, and under discipline, there's this toggle section where you can drop it down and choose whatever your field is. Say I only want to look at plumbing, I can click that and you'll see in your view all of the relevant stuff will rise to the surface. Switching disciplines helps you work faster, reduce visual clutter, and prevent mistakes. And if you're always working in one discipline, it's safe to say to go ahead and set it to the one discipline that you're always working in. We'll go to File and Options, and under the General tab, we'll have a View Options, and the default view discipline is right here, and you can set it to whatever your profession is. But for me, I'll keep it at Coordination and click OK. So anytime you open up new views, it's filtered to what's relevant to you. No extra clicks. Alright, so this next one is big for new users. It's the double click setting. By default, when you double click a family instance, it opens the family editor. While it's powerful, this can lead to accidental edits and project slowdowns. So how to fix that? Let's go back to File and Options. What we're going to do is go to the user interface right below General, and you'll see this button called Double Click Options, and we'll customize. My recommendation for family is to actually set it to do nothing. You can always explicitly open a family for editing when you intend to, but setting this to do nothing avoids accidentally opening families and slowing down your project. Let's go ahead and talk about colors, like our background color here in Revit. What we'll do is go to File and Options, and under the Colors tab, you'll see an active theme selection. You can have the light selected or dark. I'll change it to dark and I'll click OK. You'll see that your entire screen will go dark, but here's where this gets even better, where you can personalize things here in Revit. I actually want to change my canvas color to white. That's the space that I'm modeling and working in Revit. We can go to the View tab and Canvas Theme over here, and it changes my color from that dark mode to white. Say you want to go back, an easy keyboard shortcut is CA. That shortcut flips between light and dark modes instantly. So whether you're working late or you just want a cleaner workspace, it's all about making Revit easier for you. Let's go back to File and Options. We're going to talk about Preselection and Selection. So under the Colors tab, Preselection is whenever you're hovering over an element, and then Selection is whenever you click it. It's a small tweak we're going to make, but it's a clear visual difference that can be helpful when you're working in complex models. So I actually like to have my Preselection button a bright red. So I'll click OK, and I'll keep my selection color blue. So whenever I hover over this line, you can see that it turns red, and when I click it, it goes back to blue. So it's very easy for me to see what I'm actually clicking in my project. Let's go ahead and talk about keyboard shortcuts. If you go under the View tab in the user interface, there's a button called Keyboard Shortcuts. Let's click on that. The shortcut for that is KS. So, for example, I love having 3.3 as my shortcut for a default 3D view. It instantly jumps me into a 3D perspective. So, if I type in 3D, it brings me to 3D view, and once I click on it, I can go to Press New Keys and type in what I want that shortcut to be. So 3.3, and I'll assign it. Another great one for me is unjoin. So I'll type in unjoin in the search bar, click on it, and I'll make this one UJ. We'll make it easy. But did you also know that you can assign shortcuts for plugins? For Fetch, I like to have a shortcut called FE. So if I type in Fetch, I'll click on it again and type in FE and assign. Once I click OK, I'm back in my floor plan view, and when I type in 3.3, I jump into a 3D view. And just like Fetch, if I type in FE, Fetch is going to automatically launch for me. Something to remember is that your keyboard shortcuts are highly personal to you, but if you take the time to set up your favorites, this will save you hours whenever you're designing in Revit. Let's talk about file locations and spell check. File locations are really important when you're saving your project itself, but especially if you're working in a team, you want to know where everything's being saved when someone goes in and makes an edit. So let's go to File and Options, and let's go to the tab File Locations. Right here you'll see a default path for user files. If you click Browse, you're able to go in and choose where you want to save your project. Let's take a look at spell check. It's something really easy to overlook, but something really easy to fix. Let's go to File, Options, and check spelling. From here, you can tell Revit how to handle all different types of spelling. For example, do you want to ignore all caps, lowercase, or capitalized words? The choice is yours. Once you have it selected, you can click OK. From here, you can see that I've misspelled architecture 3 different times. How to fix that is going to annotate and check spelling. You can see the first word that's flagged is this middle spelling, architecture. It has the correct spelling, so I'll go ahead and click change. Then it's the first word, I'll click change, and then the next one. I'll go ahead and click change. Then it'll tell me that my spell check is complete. When you turn on these settings for spell check in Revit, it makes things easier for you. Rather than having to go back and see if you misspelled something, Revit will automatically do it for you. Let's move on to temporary dimensions, one of the most underutilized tools in Revit, but so helpful once you know how to control them. By default, Revit will snap these temporary dimensions to the center lines. That works for some layouts, but it's not always what you need. You can always manually move your witness line to the edge or the face of an opening or a door, but let's go ahead and make that the default. To do that, we'll go to the Manage tab, Additional Settings, Annotations, and Temporary Dimensions. From here, you're able to tell Revit how you want it to measure. I personally prefer using faces for the walls and openings for the doors and windows. Once I click OK, I'm back to my model, and when I click on my door, you can see that my temporary dimension lines are now snapping to the edge of my wall and my door. There's no more dragging and no more guesswork. Beyond built-in tools, plugins and add-ins are game changers. They enhance Revit with features Autodesk hasn't integrated directly. One of my favorite plugins I use on the daily is PyRevit. It's a free open-source collection of incredibly useful tools. Right now, I have tons of tabs open, so whenever I'm working with multiple families and need to differentiate them, I can use PyRevit to color coordinate my tabs to see where they belong to what family. Once you have PyRevit downloaded into Revit, it's going to show up in your ribbon up here at the top. So to change your tabs and colors, we're going to come to PyRevit and click this drop-down arrow in the bottom left corner. We'll click Settings, and once Settings loads, we're going to go to the UI/UX section. Right here you can see that there's a section called Tab Coloring. Before we begin, make sure you check on Colorize Open Documents so you're able to customize anything you'd like. For my project tab style, it shows a top bar that's heavy. I personally like that. And with my family tab style, I like a heavy border. This just helps me remember that the bordered ones belong to the top bar family. Remember, this is personal preference. You want to make sure that you're setting up Revit so you can be successful in your designs. Now that I have my styles, I can go in and change the color. So right here by order, this is telling you that these colors are going to show up in that order when you have different families or projects open. And say I don't like a color, like this yellow, I can go in and double click and choose any color I want, like this pink. You can even add it to your custom colors and click OK. And once you do that, you'll see that it shows up in your queue. And once you're happy with your customization, go ahead and click Save Settings and Reload. Once it reloads, you can see that my tabs are now assigned a color. This helps me see what tab belongs to what project or what family. Little things like this make a huge difference in visual organization, especially when you have many views open and working in different projects. And last but not least, we have Fetch. As easy as the website is to access families, we actually have a built-in plugin. We're here to make your life easier as you're designing. We have our entire library and you can sort them through different markets. We're always here to help at Fetch BIM, and we always want to create the best content for you guys. That was a lot, but when you take the time to set up Revit correctly, you're building yourself a foundation for a much more efficient and enjoyable workflow. The small tweaks that you make will add up to be huge time savers over your project's lifecycle. Let us know in the comments what your favorite Revit setup tips are or essential plugins. We love to know more. If this video helped you optimize your Revit 2025 experience, please give us a thumbs up. Remember, subscribe to our Fetch channel for more Revit tips, and don't forget to visit fetchbim.com for the highest quality, data-rich Revit families to elevate your projects. Once again, I'm Haley from the Fetch team, and I'll see you in the next video.